What is a fact about the human body that not many people know about? Migraine pain can lessen from vomiting. Vomiting can cause dehydration. Dehydration can cause migraines. The human body is funny. The human genome is about 8% virus DNA. Over millions of years, various sequences of virus genes have gotten stuck in our DNA and copied faithfully ever since. Most of them are now non-functional, but at least a few of them seem to still work and actually code for useful proteins. This suggests that viruses might occasionally serve as a helpful source of mutation in the evolutionary process. That the body's pH is 7.35 to 7.45, and if any of those scam products that promise to change the pH of your body actually worked, you'd be dead. Some people have inner monologue, some don't. If you squirt warm water into someone's ear with a syringe, their eyes will automatically turn to the side that you squirted the water. If you use cold water, their eyes will automatically turn to the other side. Your brain continues to try to revive the body long after the heart has stopped. In some cases 30 hours later there has been found brain activity trying to make repairs to bring the body back. This is used to indicate time of death in murder victims. We have a fifth valve in our hearts that seals up right after we are born. Apparently anything similar to that afterwards is a huge surgical procedure. The human body is amazing. Most reflexes never make it to your brain. The sensory aspect travels to the spinal cord and the spinal cord itself sends the muscle movement signals to your limbs. Humans are one of a few species of mammal that oddly don't produce their own vitamin C due to lack of a certain enzyme. Other mammalian species who exhibit this mutation are those contained in the main primate suborder Haplohini monkeys, apes, tarsiers, as well as bats, capybaras, and guinea pigs. All other mammals produce vitamin C in the liver. 30% of body waste is excreted via skin. Wash your gym equipment after use please. Apparently about 20% of people have a bony ridge on the roof of their mouth. Most people's palates are smooth with a very slight ridge. The 20% like me have an exaggerated and more pronounced ridge. Apparently it's most common in women and Asian folk, and I'm neither, so that's neat. I always thought it was totally normal. The sensation of suffocating isn't caused by the thing that actually kills you. You'll die from a lack of oxygen. But the feeling of suffocation is the result of being unable to exhale carbon dioxide. So if you started breathing in pure nitrogen while being able to exhale normally, you would pass out and die without ever feeling like you were suffocating. This also explains why some languages call nitrogen something like suffocation gas. Each one of your eyes has a blind spot where the optic nerve exits your eye into your brain. You can't see it because your brain tricks you not to see. It covers the spot with some made up image of what it thinks fits better with the rest of it. People who live in extreme conditions for generations adapt in extreme ways. For example, people that live in high elevations often have larger lungs and different blood makeup. Or my favorite is the badger people that live on the water and spend a lot of their time diving. Their spleens have become 50% larger in order to store more blood. Positive blood type women can have positive and negative blood type babies without issue. Negative blood type women require a shot with antibodies to prevent the mother's immune system from attacking the fetus if it is a positive blood type. When you get conditioned to physical activity, your circulatory system adapts more blood, more vessels, more blood cells, but your lungs really don't. This is because, no matter how much blood your heart is able to deliver to your lungs, the lungs still have no problem oxygenating it. This is why your oxygen saturation doesn't drop during exercise, unless you have a heart defect. Edit thanks to the actual professional in the field, who I quote below. Elite endurance athletes can push themselves hard enough to the point of creating noticeable oxygen desaturation during bouts of maximal intensity exercise. This is largely due to three factors. The first being the massive venous blood return. the second being large cardiac chamber filling, and the third being high heart rates during this maximal intensity. These elite athletes are able to pump such large volumes of blood per beat that the deoxygenated blood isn't spending enough time in the lungs to become saturated to a typical 96-98%. Babies can break their collarbone during delivery. It happens quite often, but heals quickly. My teacher told me that if it happened to you, of course you may feel a slightly higher spot on your collarbone, called the callus, where the fracture grew back together. There's a right and a wrong way to swallow, and the first swallow pattern you learn isn't the right one. Babies swallow by pushing their whole tongue forward, since it's better for nursing. However, as you transition to solid foods, you are supposed to change to a swallow, where you put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth and roll the food back. Not everyone does, and those that don't are more likely to choke, eat too fast, develop dental problems, and some develop a lisp or distorted sounds as they learn to talk. Edit. After seeing many of the comments and other professionals bringing up good ethical points, I feel the need to add some extra info and disclaimers. 1. I did not intend to imply that anyone who feels they swallow wrong, based on this information, has to get an evaluation therapy. I only wanted to share information I find fascinating, and let those with concerns or fear know that you have the right to seek a professional, if you so desire. If I did encourage you, or you felt I did, I only meant to encourage you to feel comfortable seeking out professional advice or assistance. To any techniques or screeners mentioned are only that, and cannot identify a disorder. Only an evaluation with an appropriate professional can do that, and that professional can vary with a variety of factors. 3. If you do try to analyze your swallow, please don't actively try the incorrect swallow. It can potentially be unsafe to try any swallow you are not used to. Please be careful if you decide to disregard this warning, for I did not intend to imply that, just because you have any of the aforementioned characteristics, that you have the wrong swallow. I did not intend to imply that this type of incorrect swallow is the cause of whatever difficulties, scary moments, etc. you experience. 5. Thank you all for all the interesting stories, questions, comments, and feedback. I hope you enjoyed a little awareness about something most people never think about and found any correlations, but not necessarily causations, as interesting as I did. Human eggs are small but big enough to be visible to the human eye. One of the things that make humans unique from other animals is the fact that there is no actual bone in human boners. All other apes have them, although they are reduced in size, and most other mammals do too. Notable exception being rats. Edit. Rats have them, rabbits don't. We don't know exactly why we are missing this bone called a baculum. The best theory I've seen is that without our actual bone, only relatively healthy male humans can copulate. You can live normally with half your brain. In some severe drug-resistant epileptic syndrome in young kids, the only option to stop the seizures is to remove a complete brain hemisphere. After a while, with proper re-education and all, the children can go on to have a normal life without cognitive deficit. They will have a limping, blindness from one eye and a very weak arm, but can lead a normal life and not end up cognitively impaired. One of the earliest signs of Alzheimer's disease, before the memory loss, could be the loss of the sense of smell. It's also the case with Parkinson's disease. Our brain looks wrinkled because it is actually folded inside our skull in order to fit a maximum of surface and thus neuron cell communications. Some animals like rodents have a completely smooth brain. When you have a bowel movement, your heart rhythm shifts temporarily due to a vagus response. The reason Elvis died on the toilet was because his heart was beating 200 plus BPM and the quick rhythm change caused a myocardial infarction. People with low heart rates have been known to pass out on the toilet because their bodies can't handle the shift. It's also why EMTs will absolutely not let you use the bathroom before getting on the ambulance, especially if the bathroom is a standard 5 feet x 8 feet. When doing surgery where the doctors have to take out some organs, when placing them back, they don't have to be put back in the exact position they're meant to be. Your body kind of just moves the organs into the correct position after the surgery. If you faint at the sight of your own blood, you may have an oversensitive esophageal response. The theory is that this developed as a survival mechanism, kind of like an opossum playing dead. Humans have stripes. We just normally can't see them. They are called Blaschko's lines and form along the paths of embryonic cell migration. The stripes are sort of U-shaped down our front, V-shaped on our back, wavy on the head and face, and we have basic, simple stripes on our extremities. So, why can't we see them? Usually the differences in pigmentation are so minor that it's just not easily seen. Though there are some conditions that can make the striping more obvious. You can also see Blaschko's lines by using a RAV light if the light is strong enough. Your stomach is surrounded by more brain cells, 500 million neurons, than the brain of a cat contains in total. It's your enteric nervous system. It controls digestion, operates autonomously, has its own memory, can handle its own reflexes. It has its own senses even. It's thought to have come about because of the blood-brain barrier and the main brain being locked away in the skull, a spinal column and nerves away from the critical action of nutrition. It's possible to pull a jaw muscle while yawning. I found this out the hard way at work one day. The eyeball is the fastest healing part on your body. Let me put it in a simpler version. If you don't believe me, the eyeball has a cornea. Now, cutting the cornea will result in much pain. But since this part doesn't contain blood, but only gets a supply of oxygen, it is the only fastest healing part of your body that can heal in only 36 hours. Believe me now. The human body typically only uses 30% of its muscle strength. The only times where your body will activate full power is when it's life or death. The cost of full muscle power is torn muscles, broken bone, stress, and in some cases, lacerations. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body, and in a lot of occasions, if your body's immune system finds your eyes, they will assume they are a foreign body and blind you. When you cry and your nose becomes runny, it's actually your tears. Touch between your eyes, then push up with your tongue of roof of your mouth. You can barely feel a bone move. If you do this while your nose is stuffed, it will make it drain about a minute later. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.